All right, guys, it's Shalom with the Paradox Gaming Network, and today I'm doing part 2, the promised second part of this expectation management video that I did for Ashes of Creation. If you guys don't remember part 1, it's up there in the upper right-hand corner. Before the test, I said, let's talk about expectations so it's fair, so that after the test, we can, pretty accurately say, did Intrepid deliver? Now, before I jump into that, one thing people have been asking me is, am I going to do a video talking about all things Steam? Yes, I am, but I'm not going to put any of that in this video. I want to keep my eye specifically on answering everything I talked about in part 1. So the big first question was, is the game available relatively on time? And the answer to that is yes. Now, some people are going to say, well, it wasn't available early and there were problems, and we're going to talk about all that stuff. But I was streaming. It was a couple of minutes delayed. I tried to patch right at the 1100 Pacific mark, and I couldn't. It was a couple of minutes later, a couple of restarts. Things went fairly smooth. Another thing I said was it had to be functional via Steam and the website downloads. What I do have to say here is that there were considerable issues with my.com and the Steam versions. Steam did not populate very well. I know Monday night some people could see the page, other people couldn't. People were clicking on the link and it wouldn't install. I do want to give major props to Lieutenant Toast. She and I were talking. There's a lot of bits and pieces, a lot of moving parts, a lot of checkboxes in Steam with early access games. We were troubleshooting that. She's incredibly patient. They eventually got it. But here's the biggest part about all of that. It's not Intrepid's fault if Steam doesn't populate the game properly. It should have been available. It wasn't. You remember, and I know people are going to be like, well, you're just making excuses. Hold up for a second. I just want to say, if you're paying a distributor, you're paying a publisher, and that's what Steam is. They are a distributor. Then things like that are their fault. Now, little example, if I write a book and I'm selling it myself, if I don't get it to you from my website, that's my fault. I give it to Barnes and Noble and they screw it up, that's their fault. Still makes me look bad, but it's their fault. So yes, the Steam problems with the download, and that's the only piece I'm going to talk about, it makes Intrepid look bad, but it's not their fault. Now, I hate that I have to say this, but my.com had the wrong version of the game loaded. And so this is what the my.com Game Center page looked like. And up here you see the January 26, 2019 version. And I know sometimes people are going to say, and in fact, I said, well, maybe that's just a web page issue. It's not really the load. Well, down here, you'll see that what you were downloading was the 16 gig version of the Battle Royale of Apocalypse. That is not the same version. They actually had to update that later. So this is a really bad first impression for my.com. Everyone says, I'm not even going to candy coat it. Everybody says about my.com, you kind of suck. Well, your first opportunity to impress the Ashes of Creation community, you didn't even get the right version of the game up there. Again, want to cycle back. Does it make Intrepid look bad? Yes. However, my.com is supposed to be doing this. Intrepid holds the blame. They contracted with my.com, but my.com dropped this ball. There were a whole other level of my.com issues. Playing via Steam required you to link your Intrepid account with your my.com account. I'm not from EU, so I don't 100% understand that. Shouldn't be a big deal, but it could have ramifications further down the line. Maybe if Ashes of Creation, the MMORPG, ends up on Steam, this might limit you to what regions you can play because you can't unlink. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to speculate on this. Steven has said the current plan is for the MMORPG to not be on Steam. So just going to take him at his word for that. No reason to believe otherwise. Him having to give up 30% of all the sales to Steam, that's a pretty good motivator to not put it on Steam. So I don't want to glaze over this issue. My European community would say, well, you didn't consider us. I got you. It's on my list. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Some other bits and pieces we said would be wins for Intrepid. All 3 server regions working. I will say they worked at the launch relatively. When I say working, I mean they were up, they were connectable, maybe not the smoothest experience. Remember, this was all back-end stuff. I will say Singapore needed 4 hours of maintenance to get going. That's pretty common problem, geographically separated from your server farms. You're paying somebody, obviously, to do that for you. Matches of 100, this was some gameplay stuff that we absolutely needed to see, because this would be indicative of the back-end architecture fixes. We needed to have reliably having 100 people per match. We needed to reliably be moving 100 people from the holding area to the game. Now, I will say that, yes, I saw just about 100 people per match. And for the most part, the number of people we had in the game holding area when we transferred to the game board, I saw most of the time everybody made it. A couple of times people dropped, but I don't think that was Intrepid's fault. I still think some of that is people running potato computers or potato internet. Mad shout out to the guy who was posting his internet speed test yesterday, and it was being measured in kilobytes. The other one was server performance had to be at or above previous levels. This would be 60 frames per second with 100 people connected on the server side, not on the client side. Right now, I have to gauge this as a we don't know. Intrepid worked late into the night. They haven't had a chance to push out any, golly gee whiz facts. I did say that both squad and solo modes would have to be working. Squads weren't working, and that's a problem. We said that the adventurer path would have to be working, and then the big reminder was it was a test path, not your real one. As a side note, I will say that it did seem to rebalance the levels a little bit. The quests were worth more. You needed more XP per level. So clearly some work has gone into that. So big takeaways here is that no, squads weren't working. Kind of a letdown because 2 out of 3 modes would have been good because duos are still hiding out there somewhere. Kind of disheartening when you take a step backwards. But again, as I'm going to keep saying, the major part of yesterday's test was for the server backend. So getting squads fixed is minor. And then the adventure path was working, which is a good sign. That's a checkbox to, okay, we're ready to push ahead and get people back in the game earning cosmetics. Some bonus points, I said, what would Intrepid earn bonus points for if they got right? Well, first of all, this is really just stuff we're hoping to see. It's not stuff they said would be 100% working. All the quests working. This was a big one. This was a pet peeve of mine. I didn't like the fact they went to open beta with quests not working. Client side improvements. I wanted to see that frames per second on the client side a little bit better. I wanted to see some noticeable graphic improvements. I wanted to see noticeable combat animation improvements. And I wanted to see an overall improved gameplay and experience. Now, what I will say is, yes, the quests were working to the best of my knowledge. Squads weren't available, so I couldn't test the squads ones, but all the other quests were working. Got my XP. I have to give them an X on client-side improvements. I do want to give them props. I was getting between 60 and 90, 95 frames per second, according to their in-game frames per second counter. However, there were a lot of freezes, a lot of crashes. I don't think the game was utilizing my 1080 very well. I wasn't able to isolate the bug or the cause of the crashes directly. I think it was because it was maximizing my graphics card, and then, of course, the game is going to freeze and kick me out. So they get the X here only because overall we weren't having freezes and crashes in December. So it's a little bit of step backwards, but it's only a step backwards on bonus points. Noticeable graphics improvements. What you see on the screen right now is a little clip of the water. This was a big one for me. They had talked about it with Bacon on the stream. He talked about the water. They were kind of selling it as a, hey, look, we've done environment overpass. And it was there. So that's a big one for me. In the 6 months between, you said, hey, we're working on this. And you did, in fact, show it. Noticeable combat animation improvements. Now, I want you guys not to get hung up on the word improvements, because you're going to want to try to say, well, it's not better. People didn't like the floaty combat animations in basically September, October, November, December, January, February. People had a problem with the animations. If you remember, Jeff talked about they changed some of the animations and they had this locking, moving forward that is deliberate. I don't think a lot of people were happy with the new style, the new play, the way it feels. However, not being happy with it doesn't mean it wasn't an improvement, because they took something, they changed it, they did the next iteration of it. So those were there. Now, if you didn't like the way melee combat feels, go ahead and leave a comment below. Let's start gathering that feedback. But I got to give them the yes, you did in fact deliver on the improved combat. Doesn't mean it's good, but you delivered on it. And then the overall improved gameplay and experience, I gotta say, everybody that was on my stream yesterday, except for the one, obligatory troll who was gonna, oh my god, what the fuck, this sucks. Remember, we talked about that in part 1. Everyone said the game looked great. There was a surprise thing that actually made me smile. I know I'm a bit of a hard ass, but little things will make me smile. I'll show you that in a second. So overall, man, I have to say that for what the test yesterday was designed to do, I think they nailed it. Now, I did at the end of my video, I said, what's your expectation? And so to pull out some of my YouTube viewers' comments, the truth is, my expectations are all server side. Yes, absolutely. The point of this test, this 12-hour window, was testing the server, the backend, the netcode, all of the things that aren't sexy. They're not, you don't really get to see them. They're value added, but not customer, appreciated. Their expectations. You want the server to work good. Expectations, same BR as before, but with improved server frame rates and stability. Again, I don't have the answer. I don't have the knowledge. Did the server frame rate go up? Where are they at? But it felt better. If I was getting better client-side performance, I didn't see as many problems. So I'm going to assume, and I always hate to assume, I'm going to assume they got to what they wanted. The fact that we were having 100-person fights throughout the day and they didn't have to throttle it down, that's a good statement. My expectation is for the EU server to work right. Not perfectly, but right. Good graphics is a huge plus. I love this person's expectation, because remember I said realistic expectation. I'm not expecting them to nail it. I don't expect them to step up to the plate, go 4-4, 3 home runs and a grand slam on the first test. My expectation is for the EU servers to work right. Work right. Can I connect to them? Yes, you did. Not perfectly. Yeah, there were a lot of server problems. They'll tweak those. I expect an enjoyable gameplay experience. Something fluid and engaging with excellent visuals and fun mechanics. That's all I want from tomorrow's test. All right, here's the thing that made me smile, and I have to share this. Like I said, I act like a hard ass. I am a hard ass. I don't just act like one. I am a hard ass. I expect perfection. I am Coach Boone. I expect perfection every single time. But who doesn't like seeing warriors, pangolins in the lobby? I mean, come on. It's just lighthearted. But as silly as it may sound, that little piece right there shows you that they are working on other things. It adds absolutely no value to the BR. It adds absolutely no value to the Battle Royale game experience. But what this led is it let an animator do their pet, put it into the world, and now they can actually see its behavior. So that's just proof positive that they're moving forward with the MMORPG in the back. You just don't get to see it very often. The other one was, I expect the queue times to be shorter, attacks slightly optimized, and more people on screen without the server exploding. Well, the queue time was really short. I am going to say I don't think I ever waited more than 5 minutes for a match. The attacks slightly optimized. Again, you may not like what happened with the combat animations. There is a difference between I like it and they were changed and made better. I don't necessarily like them. I will say I used to love the Spirit Piercer, but I don't like the new animation, but that's fine. I don't have to like it. I did say it was more optimized. And more people on screen without the server exploding. That one's kind of a toss-up. I don't want to say that it was the number of people on the server that was causing the issues. I don't want to speculate on behalf of Intrepid. I want them to have a chance to say, hey, this is what we discovered. And finally, my expectation hope is that I'll be able to download and launch without a hitch, that matches will not require long lobby wait times, that the whole process runs smoothly, and Intrepid can move forward in development. Unfortunately, downloading and launching without a hitch was a bit of a problem. I don't want to beat up on them too much. I do have to say I don't like the website launcher. Number one, they need to get it nailed down where if you want to remove it, you can remove it clean. I hate having to scrub my registry. I hate having to look around in my computer and find bits and pieces. A lot of people had a problem installing the new launcher because they didn't get rid of everything old. I personally don't like when you install stuff and then when you relaunch you want to load from a temporary file. In fact, I like it so little that it's not possible to do on my machine. So I had a very specific install problem. It's not a bug. The launcher tried to do its thing properly. My settings just don't allow that to happen. And my other piece to that is Shaz, the Ashes post, he was great about putting together the steps for doing a clean uninstall. That should not be coming from a community member. Even if his steps are 100% accurate and true, Intrepid should have contacted him and said, hey, can we use this? And then confirmed with their team that these are the steps they wanted, and then they should have sent that out officially. So that's someone's expectation didn't get met, and that's going to happen in development, but there's a reason why you usually have smaller, isolated groups of true testers who have a little bit more tech savvy to install and remove. There's a couple other projects I'm working on where, yeah, it's a pain in the ass to take things off of the computer, take builds off, but it's what I agreed to by being a tester. If I'm downloading it for an open test, I shouldn't have to do that. Other than that, the whole process runs smoothly and Intrepid can move forward in development. I'm not going to speculate on how smooth it was. I think that Margaret and Toast and Steven did a great job yesterday. One of the big things I've hammered them for the year that we've been doing testing is be more communicative. Communicate more. Margaret was in the channel all the time, talking, giving updates, telling us what was going on, telling us when hot fixes were coming, acknowledging what was said. Toast was phenomenal. I was streaming, popped over to the Discord, said something, and then Toast was like, no, wait, you pay attention to me. What did you mean by this? Give me more information. So definitely they were much more engaging yesterday to try to help individuals and get feedback. All right, guys, that's it for the did Intrepid deliver? Final answer is yes. I think they delivered for what yesterday was supposed to be. If you guys want to talk more, I'm John, #0001. I'm on the official Discord. I also run my own Discord. I don't have a set streaming schedule right now. I am feeling better. I am a little bit healthier. I am hopefully going to get back to at least one show per week on a regular basis. Probably I'll rotate it for a little bit so I catch all of you. And then as I get more healthy, I'll add more and more shows on. And big thanks to my sponsors. Without these guys, I couldn't do gift card giveaways. I do have to get another one of those going. And my obligatory shilling that I have to do because, if I didn't, what would people think about me? If you haven't made your Ashes of Creation account yet, there's my referral code in the bottom. There's also a link in the description below. Go there, make your account, use my code. Gives me money. I'll give it all back to you when Ashes launches via Game Time. That's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Hey, where are you going? You're not done yet. See these videos? This video's up here to watch. You gotta go over here. Hit the chibi. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the webpage. And I'll see you guys on Twitch.